Well, hey everybody and welcome. I thought I was done with thrift flipped items for Christmas, but I've started to dig out all my Christmas stuff to be able to load into the store. And as I've been doing that, I've been discovering lots that I put away, lots of other things. So I have to get started on this. I have to get things done. Thought I was so ahead of the game, and now I'm feeling way behind. So I'm just bringing you with me. So a couple of things we've got to do is we've got to do some painting. I had picked this up at some point, and I don't even remember picking it up. I mean, it's cute. It's a little sleigh, but it needs help. It needs color. It has a tag that has no tag. I thrifted it. So $2.99, and that would have been $3 less 30%, 30, 60, 90. So $2.10. So $2 for this little guy. But it needs some color. It needs some zhuzhing. So we have to paint that. I have this little church, and it looks cute right now as it is. We're not looking to go super different on it, but it's really worn. It doesn't look good for selling right now. So we're gonna have to brighten that up a bit. So that needs painting. I have this little guy, which is super cute. I got it with the intention of putting a bottle brush tree here. I just thought that would be super sweet. But again, and same price, so $2. Is this one thrifted? It is, but it has no tag. So no, it was thrifted. So it needs some love too. And then I got this. This is all attached, but this is really worn. And I had wanted to do this one up for Christmas, but it needs painting. I got more stuff down there too. So, okay. I have 3 different variations of these old trees that, again, I thrifted because I like them. The trees are in good shape. The bows are awful. The paint jobs are all worn. So those need painting. So let me tell you the painting plan. Oh, that sticker's been on there for way too long. Okay, I'm gonna get stickers off later. You don't need to see me do that. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to paint this white to start. I'm gonna paint this red and green. I'm just gonna brighten up the red and green. I'm gonna paint this white and red and green. Go figure. I'm staying very traditional on these ones. This, I'm gonna do red and green. What a surprise. And this, I'm gonna do gold. So I'm just gonna do gold. We're gonna add some red into it. Oh, see, I said I'd stop, but you know what? It's like stickers. They're like magnets to you. So I'm going to be using some fusion paint. I'm going to be using Fort York red, bayberry green, which is a much softer green. It's not like a deep Christmassy Kelly green, so it's a little bit softer. And the white I'm using is casement. So I am going to be getting some gold, and I just got to go over and check which gold I want to use. So I'll let you know once I've decided on that. And I'm just going to get started painting. So you know what? Everything just needs zhuzhing up. So I think I'll start with the white and get some of that out of the way, and then carry on. I'll be back when things are painted, because then we've got some zhuzhing to do after that. Painting's just always the first step. But you know me, if I get out the white paintbrush, I want to paint everything that needs being painted white, and then carry on with the next color. It just makes the most sense. Now that all of my projects have had a chance to dry, all the painted surfaces, I do want to lightly distress them. I don't want them to look so pristine. So I am going to just kind of distress them a little bit, all of the edges, just get a little bit of that wood showing and, you know, just a little bit of wear. So I'm going to do that with this, the little sleigh, the rocking horse, and the candlestick holder, not the gold on the bottom of the pots. I still have another coat of that to go. I'm not going to be distressing that, but all the other painted surfaces get a little light distressing, and I am just using a 220 grit sandpaper just so that, again, it's just nice and light. It's not too harsh, but it just doesn't look so pristine. One of the projects that you didn't see is this one. I thrifted this with this piece hanging off it and this big honking piece of dried up glue, and I thought it was cute. I would have liked it if it had a door that opened that you could have put a little greenery in or candle in or something. It didn't, so you know, that's life. All right, so all I'm doing is I'm just cutting this apart to save some of it. It was just all twisted and a mess, and I'm sure that's why nobody picked it up, because it was just ugh. There's a lot of glue. Whoever made this did not want this to come apart. I will tell you that. So really what we're looking to do is we just need to decorate this up again. We need to add in some greenery, some picks, I didn't mind that little piece of greenery from there, and just, you know, a little bit of zhuzhing. Okay, so let's maybe, and I'm just taking pieces from a little dollar store pick that has been all cut apart for other purposes. That big apple is going to be way too big for this. And we are just, I'm going to work upside down, I think. So we are just going to, sorry, stuck on the church, glue this down. And I'm just going to kind of work over top of that big glue blob that they had going here. And I'm just going to hold things in place. So sometimes when you're thrifting, you know, people, like even that, people just couldn't be bothered cutting that off and gluing another piece in, which really is no big deal, but it just depends upon your perspective, I guess. So I'm thinking I'd like something to hang lower, right? So let's put this down in here, nice and flat. Looking for my little glue stick, but I can't find it. Okay. I'll just use a little transfer tool. Here's what you got. And I just want to hold these until the glue is kind of staying in place a bit. So I'm just trying to create a little bit of dimension here. You know, I want those 3 white fronds hanging down, right? We've got these bushy out the side, those hanging down, so that as we build this up a little bit, then there's a bit of balance. So now I'm looking at these 2 strands of berries we could put in there as well. And I'm just gonna hold them flat with my tool. And then the last thing, I have this little trio of pine cones, and I'm gonna put those at the top. I'm just gonna cut off the excess stem, but I'm going to glue those in place. And now, super cute. We've got some balance there. Now the only thing that we can do is we can add in a bow up at the top there that would balance it off. So I'm gonna look, trying to think what bows I've got that I could use. And I'm also wondering about that gap. You look a little heavy. What else have I got? I don't think I want gold. I do have a couple of frosted white bulbs. All right, so what I'm debating, I have that hole. It's just a pretty visible hole. And if I put all the red berries in there, it seems really red berry heavy. So what I'm thinking instead is that maybe I've got these little frosted white balls that came out of a different pick, and I'm just thinking I could maybe pop those down in there, since I do have white in the strands and white frosting on the pine cones. And that those would be a cute little addition. Okay, that works for me. Now, I have to just go and look and see if I have a ribbon and if I think I want it. You know me and bows. I'm not a big bow person, so we'll see. We'll see on that one. For this one, as much as it got sanded down, it really doesn't highlight the details too much. So what I'm gonna do instead is take a little bit of Golden Rule, which is a gold wax by DIY, and I'm just going to kind of lightly add it in here and there, just highlighting some of those details. You need, you know, for this, I'm just doing a really light touch. I'm not looking for, you know, tons of the gold. I'm just looking for it to highlight some of the details. And just, you know, adding a little bit more interest than just the stark white. I really like it. Oh, I just saw that I missed a spot. Well, I didn't miss it. Just it wasn't quite as much gold there as I would have liked. Once we add this gold onto this, this really starts to take on a bit of an old world kind of European charm to it. Now, what I was going to do, I may change. So I'm going to take a bottle brush tree, and I'm taking a little bit of a stump that I got in a bag from the dollar store. And I'm just gluing this on because I want it to have a little bit more height to it. And I'm not going to glue this down because then we have the ability, okay, my stump is not level. I thought I picked a level one, but no, I didn't. So if I glue it down, this becomes like a permanent addition in here. I mean, I can get it out, but it's going to be difficult. However, if I don't glue it out, I'm just kind of bending the tree to make up for the bend in the, so it sort of looks like it's standing straight. And let's face it, we've all had those trees that have the curved stem to it, the stalk. Trunk, Cindy, trunk is the word. Sometimes you just struggle. Now, I had been thinking that I would add red berries around it, like deep burgundy berries. But now that I have this gold on, and I have these kind of matte, sorry for the rustling, these matte gold balls, I'm just thinking that maybe those would look good around it. They have sticks on them though, so I am gonna cut those off and kind of pop them down around. So again, they're gonna hold the tree in place. There you go. So they're gonna hold my tree in place. I'm not gonna have to worry about it moving around. And then I can dump everything out at the end of the season, and I can fill this with other items. So this could be used as a vase, it could be used as a candlestick. You know, it's got multiple uses beyond what we are just currently using it for. So the cool thing about it is being able to switch it up more than anything else. And I'm just thinking that just this kind of the simplicity of this, I like, right? Just, we've got the balls in there, let them get settled around there. I've got some little ones. And that way, you know, each year, you could just fill this with baubles itself. But each year, if you change out the colors of your Christmas decor, then this changes along with you, no problem. You can just fill it with different items, different looks. I mean, if you had like an old, you know, faux pearl strand, you could just fill it with pearls. And then in the top, nestle in some other items that stick out the top. I mean, it would just look super cool. So again, lots of options. And it just becomes a very simple, kind of, I can't see that side. How am I doing? One little teeny tiny guy, let's toss him in. And just a very simple, classic look. I like it with the gold. Next up, we have our little church. And it's super cute, doesn't need a lot, but it needs something. Now, we had popped off this wreath that was on the door. And I had debated putting it up here, which I quite like, but a couple things. I decided that because we've got the red door and this is a gold bow, I'm just going to add a little tinge of red. I've got some pip berries. I just cut 2 off. And I thought that I'd glue them into the center of the bow. Let's let that glue. Now, if I put the wreath there, then that would be it. But I think if I put the wreath on the door, I can hang a little bit more greenery at the top, just to zhuzh it up a little bit more. So I have some little juniper, faux juniper kind of greenery that if I just glue on to the tip, just doing it this way gives me the opportunity to add just a little bit more to it. So again, I want to take a couple of those pip berries. Let me find one that's kind of too locked in together a bit. And I'll glue those guys on. And then stretch that wreath back. And it's already got a couple of dried glue dabs from when it was there before. And then just that extra little bit kind of does it up. If I'd moved the wreath up to here, this would have been sort of redundant. It wouldn't really have worked. It would have been too much. Now there's no back door to worry about. So the only other thing is whether or not we want to do, something similar above the windows on either side, or if it's too much. I think I'm going with it's Christmas. Is it possible to do too much? I don't know. Okay, so I am going to add in just 2 little strands on either side of those windows and a little, probably just 1 little pipberry in the center. And then I think I'm calling this one done. For my little rocking horse, I have this little tree, and I like how rustic the rocking horse is. I like the burlap base on this one. It came with decorations already on it, but it's missing some at the top. It just doesn't really have anything there. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of red. Oh, okay. I have these red balls that I took off of that pick. I can cut them all individually since I'm going to add them in separate. All right, solves that. Just, you know what? Rather than opening up a package of something new, let's use these guys up. And toss out that bow. All right, and I'm just gonna add in some of these red balls here and there, just to kind of continue some of the look here and fill it all in a little bit more. Okay, and then I am going to push this. I think that I can just kind of pop it in and kind of squish it in place without necessitating gluing it in place. I will sew them together, but if I just kind of zhuzh it around a little, I can make it work. And there we've got just a cute little decor piece with that Christmas tree sitting in it. I like that now. Okay, we've got our little potted trees here. We've spray painted them so that it's a much softer gold color. I did a base of gold paint that I had on the shelf and used that, and then did a final coat of champagne gold by Rust-Oleum. So I don't want these ribbons, and I'm thinking I probably won't replace them with ribbon so much as just leaving them nice and plain. The only thing that I am thinking I'll do, and I reserve the right to change my mind, but the only thing that I'm thinking of doing here is I got a package. Let me move this guy out of the way. I got a package of gold dots from the dollar store. So they do have a sticky backing, but I don't think it's going to be sufficient. What I am looking at is I just want this nice and simple. So this greenery is fairly, this moss is fairly worn. So I am looking at pulling it out, you know, just roughly, and adding in new moss. So this is just from the dollar store. So I'm looking at gluing some of this in and then taking these dots and gluing them on. So the difference is that's just that little sticky backing. I don't think we'll hold them for long. Okay, so just a heads up. Quickest method that I found for this is I'm using a pair of forceps. You could use tweezers. I am lifting the dots off the sheet, dipping them into E6000, and then I am simply putting them in place, pushing down with my finger, and then carrying on. So this is going quite quickly, thankfully. And that's it. Well, we have our little painted sleigh to finish up still, which puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, really 6. So our 6th little project. What I do have is I have some greenery that I crystallized. So I'll put a link to that video. This is the greenery and items from that. So I'm going to use those because I didn't do them for nothing. So if you want to see how to be able to crystallize some of them, and in particular, it's, look at the poinsettias. They were really ugly. Ugly dollar store poinsettias that really looked awful. I have a piece of floral foam in the bottom here that I'm trying to push this in without knocking everything off. I'm not looking at this being huge, and I think that that's the goal, is just to do something just kind of cute, kind of small, keep it fairly tight kind of idea. So I just did some out the ends, some coming out the sides. I'm going to use my poinsettias. I did do some red berries, so I'll be able to add those in. I'm going to start adding a little bit of those in now because they're not long enough to necessarily stick into the foam, but I can add a little bit of glue too. So I'm going to do this up with some of those red berries. I'm going to use my poinsettias, and because I have 3 of them, I will be using them kind of in a across the top kind of pattern, but they don't have a lot to sit on right now to kind of poof them up. So I have one more of these branches, and I might just tuck them in as a bit of a greenery base so it looks a lot fuller. Oh, I like that. Okay. So I'm just going to tuck those down in there so that becomes a bit of a base. So it's not so low, and that when I do my poinsettias, they have something to rest on. I just want to pop a couple of these berries in though, so that they're kind of peeking out the sides a bit, filling it out a little. Let's take a final look at our various projects. I mean, one was these 3, I had the word on the tip of my tongue. So the first one that we did were these trees. And, you know, you've got a pair that could be flanking on the end of a vignette across a buffet table or credenza or a mantle. Topiaries. Oh my gosh. Topiary trees. That word just escaped me. It's just, oh, let's just turn on the camera and then have your mind go blank. The nice thing about these little guys is they really didn't take a lot of work. The pots needed to just be kind of taken down a notch. They were a little brassy. I'm just picking off glue strands. They were a little brassy, and we didn't want the tired bows. These are just very classic looking now in that soft gold with just those little gold beads. And those were just little flat backed cabochons from the dollar store. And we just attached them with a little bit of extra glue. This guy, he just needed some new decor. I added a little bit of a black bow here to kind of tie in with the black base with a little bit of red ribbon to go with the beads. But it just needed a little bit of zhuzhing, nothing major, but it was just that little bit of zhuzhing that was needed that had somebody ditching it, right? That they just didn't want to bother having to replace the ribbon, which really wasn't a big deal. We had our candlestick with our globe here, and all that we did was we tucked in a bottle brush tree with a bunch of brushed gold baubles around it to kind of go with the brushed gold detailing that we did on it. And it's just brighter, it's simple, it's classic, and all of the ornaments inside here could be replaced seasonally, right? And certainly you could put a big tall pillar candle in it as well. But we didn't glue those down so that they didn't need to be a permanent display. But I hope that gives you an idea of how you can use this for part of your holiday decor. I mean, you can put a pillar candlestick in and then just some greenery around the base, or maybe some red balls. You could tie a ribbon around the candlestick. You could put fake snow in there, and then, maybe 3 different sizes of bottle brush trees. There's a lot that you can do with these to be able to decorate out, certainly for the Christmas season, but seasonally, period. We did our little church. So we did a little bit of greenery, some swags over each of the windows. We updated the doorway, and really all that it needed was some fresh coat of paint and just a little bit more greenery added to it. So not a big switch up in by any means, but just super cute, and sometimes simple is all it takes. Our little rocking horse, so we repainted it but left it pretty rustic looking, which I think is in keeping with it, and just tucked in a little tree. And again, for this one, I didn't glue the tree down. It's pretty solid in there, but we can pull it out to put a potted plant, some little pansies in the springtime, some cacti. We can switch it up as we need to. And I think that's part of the important part sometimes with some of these decor items that we do, is rather than having to store everything, how do we just switch it from season to season? The final one that we just did was this little sleigh that we painted out. We added some greenery, all that shimmering crystal that we had done, the crystallized greenery and poinsettias. And it's just very simple, but very pretty. And because it's the sleigh, all those crystals on there just make it look like it's been through a bit of a snow and ice storm. So very in keeping with the little holder there. I hope that you got some ideas from this. I hope that 1 or 2 were your favorites, or things that you can do something with. And I hope that it gives you some idea when you're looking at some of these items in the thrift stores and they don't look like much. There's a reason that people threw them out, but you're the reason that they can be fixed up, saved, renewed, and loved again. And that's really the joy that I get out of this, is people seeing them and wanting to add them to their decor. Take a look at some of the old tired decor that you may have and how you could zhuzh it up a little bit. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, take care.